Alright, so this is a video I've been meaning to do for quite a while. As a matter of fact, the first time you guys saw this on my 7-SAUM rifle here, I mentioned in that video that I would be doing a full review on this. We're talking about the MasterPiece Arms vertical grip. I usually don't do reviews on things as small as a grip unless they have features that allow us to add to our ability to be accurate and consistent at distance. And this MasterPiece Arms vertical grip absolutely does that. So first off, what is a vertical grip? Why do we have vertical grips on our precision rifles? So we've talked many times about controlling recoil. And when we're trying to control our recoil for precision shots, consistency with precision shots, what are we trying to do? We're trying to make our recoil, or control our recoil in the right direction. We don't want our recoil to come down. We don't want our recoil to come up. We don't want it to go side to side. We want our recoil to functionally move as forward and back as flat as possible. And why do we do that? We want our muzzle to stay as flat as possible amongst recoil for a couple of reasons. One, so we can spot our shots easier, and two, so that we don't have as much muzzle rise or muzzle flip or whatever, so that it's not throwing our shot off, and we can't consistently do that to have consistent shots and consistent placement of our shots at distance. So that is why we try to control our recoil in a perfectly forward and back motion. And a vertical grip, being perfectly vertical, adds to our ability to control our recoil in the right direction. But when we are putting forward pressure on our bipod and we are pulling with our, not a lot of pressure obviously, but when we're adding pressure straight to the rear, if you're using a butt hook, obviously with a butt hook, and with your trigger hand, to get that perfectly forward and back motion to control our recoil forward and back, a vertical grip adds to our ability to do that by giving us a perfect platform to start with to give us that vertical motion, or horizontal motion. So that is why we have vertical grips on our precision rifles. And vertical grips on precision rifles are nothing new. As a matter of fact, a lot of precision stocks nowadays have vertical grips, like this HS Precision stock with my 6 Creedmoor here. That is a vertical grip on a precision stock, and there are many stocks that are going to have vertical grips. And most times when you see a chassis rifle nowadays, they're coming more and more to have vertical grips, and is for the reason we just talked about. And this MPA vertical grip is not the only vertical grip on the market for a chassis rifle. Now, as a matter of fact, this is, I do believe, can only be used on some sort of chassis rifle because it does not have some of the functions that you need to be able to be used in a gas gun, namely the port for the trigger spring that is in a grip for a gas gun, like a standard A2 grip or something, where it has this hole drilled for your trigger spring. You don't have that in this, and you could probably drill that hole if you were inclined to, but it's going to be, you're going to have to be very precise with where you place it and how you place it to get everything just right. And I don't think that it's going to be something that you're really going to want to do, and you possibly could ruin the grip and it wouldn't work for the purposes of a gas gun. But on a chassis rifle that takes a standard gas gun style or AR style grip, the MPA vertical grip is not the only one in that category. There is the Anarchy Outdoors Penguin grip, there is the MDT vertical grip, but from everything I have seen, the MPA vertical grip here has some things, or does some things, that those other vertical grips don't do. So the MPA vertical grip, or the MPA vertical grip has this thumb shelf. Now, personally, myself, I find a stock rifle like this, a precision stock, more comfortable than a chassis. Now, I like my chassis a lot, but there's a couple of things that I find more comfortable, more ergonomic to me, and a lot of people feel the same way. A lot of comp shooters feel the same way, that a stock is more comfortable. And one of the things that allows the stock to be more comfortable is the way that you grip that stock. You're not actually shooting thumb out like you would be on some sort of gas gun or a chassis like this. You're actually putting your thumb on the back of the stock here, which allows you to get just the right grip placement to get that perfect forward and back trigger pull on your vertical grip, while you get that perfect forward and back motion, rearward pull on your grip. So I find a stock like this more comfortable than most chassis. Now, what MasterPiece Arms has done here with this vertical grip is done a really good job of mimicking something like that HS Precision stock as well as adding some features to give you more consistency. So this thing has what's called a thumb shelf. So just like we would put our thumb up on top of a stock like that HS Precision stock, and it's not the only one in this category. I do believe the Penguin grip has a thumb shelf, and I think the MDT has some sort of thumb shelf as well, although it's not as pronounced as the Penguin grip or the MPA grip here. But this MPA grip is the only one that I'm aware of that has the thumb shelf up as high as this, and that does a couple of things. So that's going to put our thumb up out of the way of our trigger finger, and it's going to, being up as high as it is, it allows us to feel much more ergonomic feeling of a stock like that one. Now, also putting our thumb out of the way, this thing has what I call, and I've never found any information on what they actually call this, but I call it the trigger bar. It allows you to put your thumb up out of the way and then use your trigger finger to the first knuckle of your trigger finger. Now, I'm sure it depends on what the size of your hand, but I think it's probably pretty functional for most hands. You take that first knuckle of your trigger finger and it hinges right on that trigger bar, giving you a perfectly forward and back trigger squeeze, and it's a consistent trigger squeeze. So with something like the Penguin grip or the MDT grip, they put the thumb shelf lower than this MasterPiece Arms grip, and because that thumb shelf is lower, you're not just using, I think the MDT has a trigger bar similar to this. I don't think the Anarchy Outdoors one does, but with both those other ones, they put the thumb shelf lower, which does a couple of things different. It puts your thumb shelf lower, making it not mimic that stock as much, as well as it puts it in the way, so you're actually using your thumb as the hinge point for that knuckle. So because it's lower, you're actually using your thumb to sit there with that trigger bar and use that as your hinge point. Now that doesn't seem like a whole lot of difference, but it's doesn't give you the ability to be as consistent as this MPA grip. Because you're putting your thumb out of the way, mimicking a stock like that, the thumb is up out of the way, and you're using this that does not move, it's not something that you can move around like your thumb, to have the same exact trigger squeeze each time, which is a perfectly forward and back trigger squeeze. And a lot of people may say, well, it's a trigger squeeze, it doesn't have to be perfectly forward and back, but I can guarantee you every little bit of motion in that direction matters, and every little bit of that motion in that direction is going to contribute to your ability to control the recoil in the right direction. So that is some of the ergonomics that they put into this MPA grip, some of the thought they put into it that I believe makes this head and shoulders above the rest of the vertical grips in this category. Now, a couple of other things, one of the other things they've done is the width of this. Now, I think the MDT is adjustable in its width, which is a very cool idea. The ability to adjust that width to make it as comfortable as you want for you is an awesome idea. But this, compared to something like a standard A2 grip, is much wider. So an A2 grip here, you're looking at 1.19 inches at its widest point. This MasterPiece Arms vertical grip at its widest point, you're looking at 1.55 inches. So quite a bit wider. And what that extra width does is not only allows you to mimic a stock, because that stock there at its widest point is 1.95 inches. So even wider than the MPA grip. But it's not only is it allowing you to have that wider grip mimicking the stock with your thumb up out of the way, but because it's got that extra width to it, it's putting your thumb up out of the way and giving you just the right bend on your hand, obviously if your hand is the right size, and I think this is kind of made to fit most hands, to give you the perfect placement of that trigger finger and allowing that perfect forward and back motion every time. So that is another thing that they've done to add to the ergonomics of this MPA grip. I'm just really surprised. The first time I used an MPA grip wasn't on this rifle, it wasn't my MPA grip, and I knew right off the bat that I had to have one. As a matter of fact, I went out the very next day and ordered this one because I liked it so much. So this is my full review of the MasterPiece Arms vertical grip. I hope if you guys are looking for a vertical grip for your precision rifle, MasterPiece Arms is one of the ones you want to look at. These things are running about $40 or $39.95 on the MPA website, and you can find them in other places, and I think you can find them a little cheaper here and there depending on where you shop. But this has been the full review of the MasterPiece Arms vertical grip. I hope if you guys, like I said, are looking for a vertical grip for your precision rifle, you may want to take a look at the MPA. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll see you guys next time. I'm out.